Well, hey everybody, I'm Todd Banner. Welcome to my channel. Well, my previous video about the Lumix S9, what I hope I didn't come off as sounding too negative. You know, it wasn't really my intention to be. It was kind of making the point that this new camera is not for everybody. I'm probably not the target market for this, but you know, I'm not certain that there's a deer right over here who has just spotted me. Anyway, she's staring me down. Anyway, so I didn't want to sound too negative, and I try to make the point that, you know, there may be a market for a camera such as this, and you know, you really would have to believe that Panasonic actually did some market research. I think that I see these YouTube videos, these negative videos, and it's just like, you know, so he's, what were they thinking? Oh, you know, and come on, this is a very large company that produces a multitude of products. But what I wanted to do in this video is talk about a historical antecedent to the Lumix S9, you know, full frame camera, but pretty much simplified. And so back in the 1980s, in the early 1980s, and this is when the camera manufacturers started putting out autofocus point and shoots. And then Canon came out with a line of cameras called the Snappy. And it was a really simplified, these were really simple cameras. I mean, they had a fixed 35mm f3.5 lens. I'm sorry, no, it was I think it was f4.5. So it was not a fast lens. So the Snappy, an interesting thing about the Snappy was it came in 4 colors. It came in red, yellow, green, and black. And the S9, of course, comes in 4 colors, red, blue, green, and black. And the professionals of the time obviously wouldn't have used this camera except maybe for family stuff, because this camera was geared towards people who wanted to keep things really simple. And if you wanted to share those photos within the limits of the technology of the day, you could do that relatively quickly. There were 1-hour film processing labs in every drugstore. I mean, every chain drugstore, even chain grocery stores would have a photo counter. And you could get your prints, 4x6 prints, in an hour. And the lens on those cameras probably was fine for 4x6 prints, right? Not sure how they would do with an 8x10, but that's what Canon did to market these cameras to a wide base of people. People who didn't want to mess around with all the stuff that you have to have for a professional camera. And they advertised the living daylights out of the Snappy. And I remember one of the ads featured a model, and her name, it turns out, is Susan Walters. She became an actress, and she is famous for playing the character of Jerry's girlfriend on Seinfeld, whose name he could not remember, but he knew it rhymed with a female body part. He kept going, Moza? And then, of course, Jerry didn't realize until it was too late that her name was Dolores. The S9, it's not geared towards the people who are naysayers, okay? That's not what this camera's for. You got to remember, people who are creating content come from a wide variety of backgrounds. These are people who are not professional videographers. I mean, if you're doing content, and Beth and I watch travel videos, and a lot of the folks who are doing travel videos, they're not doing professional travel photography. They're telling you about places to go, tips about places, and they probably don't want to mess with having to color grade. They really don't want to have to mess with a lot of the stuff that professional videographers and professional photographers do. And so having a camera that allows you to maybe come up with your own look and burn that into the footage so that you get your project done and you can immediately get that thing put up onto social media, including obviously YouTube. And really, the 15-minute recording limit, that's not going to matter to these people. Probably not. Most of the time when I shoot video, it's nowhere near 15 minutes. Even when I set up in our bedroom and I'm using my G9 Mark II to shoot video for a YouTube video, it's rare that I have ever had that camera going for 15 minutes without a break. One other thing, just saw an article on one of the photography sites about the iOS for iPad operating system. So iPads run on iOS, of course. It's what iPhones run on. And the article is about how reviewers hate iOS on the iPad. But people who use iPads love it. I have an iPad Pro. It's a 2019 model. Still using it, works fine, fast enough, and it works for everything that I want to do with it. So when we're traveling, I use the iPad essentially for photo storage. So I have a USB-C card reader, plug it into the USB-C port on the iPad, and then at the end of the day, I will take my SD cards and I will import those into Lightroom Mobile. And then I will, when I get home, it's very easy to port those over into Lightroom Classic, which is what I use for editing. So it works fine. So to wrap this up, I think that the folks that are super negative about this camera need to realize it's not for them. And there's people complaining because it doesn't do what they want it to do. Panasonic is a corporation. Panasonic is in business to make money. And again, I'm assuming that they did a fair amount of market research and figured out that there is a market for a camera like this, a full 35mm full frame camera with interchangeable lenses that makes creating content really simple and actually gives you, and I'm not a full frame kind of person, but the shallow depth of field, full frame look. This camera will give you that. You put the right lens on it. And with full frame, it doesn't necessarily have to be like an a wider than f2 lens. So I'm going to take a really quick photo of this doe. Yeah, got it. There she is. She might be hanging around because people feed these things, and she may be wondering if I have something for her. It's a bad idea to feed these things. Anyway, all right, I'm going to wrap this up here. Those are my thoughts. It's just amazing the amount of drama right now just over this camera. It's a camera, people. It's just a camera. It is not the end of the world that it doesn't do everything that you want to do. It is geared towards people who don't have maybe the skills that you have, but they still want, a camera with really good image quality over that they can get out of a phone or even a Pocket Osmo 3. So if this was useful, interesting to you, please hit that like button. Thank you to all my subscribers closing in on 2,000. That's pretty cool. I'm Todd Banner. Have a great day, and I'll see you next time.